you think there's an element of hopelessness that exists inside the minds of the youth in the rough parts of Rochester? I know, me being a Bronx resident and us also being in the top 10 as far as counties with homicide in the state, there's an element of hopelessness that exists in some of these young men.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, do you think that exists in Rochester?
I think that's what it all stems from, right? Like, there's no direction, and like that goes right with like hopelessness. Like, if there's no direction, and like you don't have, like, that's why I always say to every camp, any kid, I say, yo, what's your 5 goals? Write them down, and every morning you wake up, read them, because that's gonna direct your life. If you don't wake up in the morning with a goal, like, you're gonna go this way. Like, I got in trouble in college. I got arrested 5 times. Like,
oh, we gonna dress.
You know what I mean? Like, I know when you don't have a goal, you wake up in the morning where you can go. Mm-hmm. You go sideways really quick. So I think, yeah, it's that. It's direction. It's putting people in front of these kids that they can look at and be like, I could do that.
Right.
Like you and me, like any kid could do what we do.
Absolutely.
And you see a lot of trainers like coming up and everybody, and they're like, oh man, like this dude, like there's thousands of trainers now, basketball's whack. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, it probably saves some people's lives.
Saves some people's lives.
So
man.
Like, you can say what you want, and I know we all whatever, but at the same time, it's basketball, and if it's gonna save lives, it saves lives. So yeah, there's hopelessness, and that's the part that sucks.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly. As far as that hopelessness, do you have any plans on putting together some resources for the kids of Rochester in the future to give them more hope? I know you do camps and clinics, and you're there, especially in the off season, to give some of your time. Do you plan on trying to rev some of that up in the near future? So
we've talked to, so before COVID, you know who Jared Iglesias is?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so he kind of was always almost, I wouldn't say that, like Mickey Walker was the godfather where we were from, but what's what we call Mickey, like AAU godfather. Mm-hmm. And you know, Gerard kind of just has those inner city connections. So what we were trying to do was create, you know, a camp, and we were gonna bring in certain NBA guys and do things. COVID hit, so now we're trying to redo that. One of the things that we've been talking about is trying to get city funding to maybe build like a TRB facility.
That would be dope.
You know, and seeing if that could, you know, that could help, man. And I don't know if it could.
I'm sure that it could, man. Yeah. I'm sure it would take a few kids off the street.
Yeah.
And give them a place to stay.
Yeah.
Not waste some of their recreational hours doing nothing.
Right.
You know. So I'm sure.
And then, like, you know, my family still sponsors kids.
Beautiful.
So they still, kids that are gonna go from the inner city, they play with AAU teams that they need extra funding. Mm-hmm. You know, or those kids won't be able to play. Like, you know, we still support it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Shout out to your family.
No, for sure.